Imagine living in a world where flying giant fire-breathing monsters is just a casual Tuesday flex. But beneath this Viking paradise lies an apocalyptic threat lurking right over the horizon. And our main character is about to trigger a chain reaction that puts his entire civilization on the line. Welcome back to Berk, a wet heap of rock that went from Monster Central to the ultimate dragon haven. 5 years after peace was made, these Vikings stopped fighting dragons and started using them for full-on extreme sports. Today, the entire village is packed to watch the high-stakes, adrenaline-fueled game of dragon racing. Snotlout and Fishlegs are out here completely throwing the match just to simp for Roughnut. Snotlout literally hand-delivers a point sheep to her like he is desperately trying to secure a date. But Roughnut is completely unbothered, treating both of them like total bottom-tier trash. Astrid is lagging behind on points, but you already know she possesses that unshakable main character energy. Meanwhile, Stoic notices his son Hiccup is completely MIA from the biggest event of the year. Berk has gone full futuristic, featuring custom dragon stables, all-you-can-eat stations, and automatic dragon washes. Gobber launches the ultimate game-changer into the arena, the infamous black sheep worth 10 points. Astrid instantly locks in, pushing her dragon Stormfly to absolute maximum velocity. Fishlegs tries to clutch the win for Roughnut, but Snotlout crashes the party to ruin his play. The boys start fighting over the target sheep like absolute chaos gremlins. Toughnut and Roughnut get hopelessly entangled, blowing their own chance at absolute glory. Astrid swoops in out of nowhere, snatches the black sheep right out of the air, and seals the victory. Stoic is bursting with pride, fully convinced Astrid is destined to marry his son very soon. But Hiccup isn't focused on games because the world beyond Berk just got a whole lot bigger. Miles away from home, Hiccup and Toothless are pushing the absolute boundaries of high-altitude flight. Hiccup unlatches himself from Toothless to test out his brand new customized gliding wingsuit. For a second, he is literally soaring like a god until aerodynamics completely betray him. They go tumbling out of the sky into an aggressive emergency crash landing on uncharted land. Thankfully, Toothless clutches up at the very last microsecond, saving Hiccup from becoming Viking pancakes. Hiccup tries to laugh it off, but Toothless gives him the ultimate side-eye of pure disapproval. To make amends, Hiccup hits Toothless with the most legendary dragon belly rubs imaginable. Toothless playfully tackles him into the grass, cementing their unbreakable brotherly bond. They pull out their custom map to mark down this brand new island, officially dubbing it Itchy Armpit. Hiccup quietly wonders if they will ever track down another Night Fury out there in the vast unknown. Suddenly, Astrid drops in on Stormfly to check up on her favorite runaway prince. Hiccup reveals he didn't just fly out here to map the world, he is actively low-key dodging his father. He breaks into a hilariously dramatic impersonation of Stoic pulling him aside earlier that morning. Astrid tries to keep a straight face while Hiccup roasts his dad's booming authority. Stoic had dropped a massive bomb, telling Hiccup he is officially ready to take over as chief. Astrid gets super hyped, realizing what a colossal flex being chief of Berk actually is. But Hiccup completely freaks out, terrified of being locked down by overwhelming responsibilities. He admits he literally sprinted away before his dad could even finish the sentence. Hiccup feels like he isn't built for village speeches, heavy political planning, and administrative duty. He confesses that while Astrid knows her exact destiny, he is still lost trying to find his true identity. Without ever knowing his mother, Hiccup feels like an incomplete puzzle in his own skin. Astrid tries to comfort him, reminding him that true answers come from within, not distant lands. But their emotional deep talk is cut short when they spot thick, dark smoke billowing off the coast. They fly down to investigate and find a massive sea fort completely pulverized into frozen ruins. Out of nowhere, a heavy steel dragon trapping net comes flying straight for Stormfly. Hostile mercenaries swarm out from the shadows, screaming orders to capture the wild beasts. The lead trapper eyes Toothless and realizes he is staring at an actual legendary Night Fury. He can't believe his eyes, believing night furies were entirely extinct from the world. Hiccup steps up to de-escalate the tension, claiming they don't want any trouble. The trapper accuses them of being the rogue sabotage team that destroyed their entire operational base. Hiccup is completely shocked to learn there are other mystery dragon riders operating out there. The trapper reveals a shadowy vigilante raided them last night and freed all their captive dragons. He also blames a terrifying, massive ice-spitting monster for utterly freezing their heavy fort. The chief trapper panics about failing his ruthless warlord boss, a man named Drago Bludvist. Drago is actively assembling a massive dragon army and demands every single beast captured. The trapper shows off his brutal scars, proving Drago shows absolute zero mercy to anyone who fails. He formally introduces himself as Eric, son of Eric, claiming no beast escapes his traps. Hiccup realizes this guy is totally cooked up and signals Toothless to prepare for combat. Eric commands his entire squad to jump the riders and secure the Night Fury at all costs. Astrid and Hiccup pull off a clutch aerial getaway, dodging swinging traps like total pros. Eric screams a terrifying warning after them, declaring Drago will hunt down every dragon on Earth. Back at Berk, Stoic is strutting through the village like a boss, prepping for Hiccup's big promotion. Spitelout questions if Hiccup is actually ready to handle the intense mantle of village chief. But Stoic has 100% faith that his son is going to step up and lead Berk into glory. When Hiccup finally lands, Stoic immediately calls him out for ditching his royal duties. Hiccup urgently tries to warn his father about the insane trapper threat he just encountered. But Stoic completely ignores him, dragging him straight into chief-in-training lessons at the forge. Villagers immediately crowd around Hiccup with silly demands for custom dragon gear. Hiccup tries pushing back, stressing that this danger is far bigger than village maintenance. Stoic cuts him off, insisting that serving the smallest needs of your people defines leadership. Gobber yells at his lazy dragon Grump for falling asleep on the forge job once again. Hiccup finally manages to break through, explaining they discovered an uncharted land with hostile trappers. He explains the trappers were aggressively arming up and blamed them for blowing up their fort. He describes the terrifying giant spikes of ice that completely obliterated the enemy encampment. Hiccup drops the ultimate heavy bomb. A warlord named Drago is building a massive dragon army to conquer the world. Stoic completely loses his mind the second he hears the name Drago Bludvist and orders an immediate lockdown. He orders the Vikings to drop the massive storm doors because this legendary villain is bad news. Stoic explains that Drago is a straight-up psychopath who knows zero mercy. If this man has cooked up a dragon army, Berk is looking at absolute annihilation. Hiccup still thinks he can just fly out there and reason with Drago like it is a casual debate. Stoic shuts that down instantly and demands every single Viking prepare for war. His dad drops a massive reality check, declaring that their peaceful era is officially cooked. But Hiccup is convinced he has main character energy and can change Drago's mind before blood is shed. Stoic warns him that some evil men just want to watch the world burn. He tells Hiccup his only job as future chief is to stay put and protect Berk. While Stoic frantically orders the stables locked down, Hiccup sneaks away to execute his own plan. Meanwhile, out on the open ocean, Eric is pushing his trappers to hit their quota fast. Eric needs to load his boat with beasts immediately or Drago will literally end his career. Suddenly, two dragon riders drop down out of the thick fog right above Eric's ship. Eric thinks he finally trapped the ultimate prize, completely unaware Hiccup came on purpose. Hiccup and Astrid casually surrender without firing a single shot, confusing the trappers. Eric is hyped beyond belief thinking he caught a rare night fury and a deadly natter. Hiccup acts totally unfazed, telling the trappers the dragons are just gonna chill on deck. He low-key threatens them by pointing out wooden boats do not mix well with fire-breathing beasts. Hiccup flexes his new custom fire sword coated in monstrous nightmare saliva. He ignites zippleback gas right in front of Eret, demonstrating elite dragon tech. He tries to show Eret that dragons can be trained and befriended rather than caged. Hiccup admits his wild plan is to let Eret take him directly to Drago so he can talk peace. He explains how earning a dragon's loyalty creates an unstoppable bond. Out of nowhere, Snotlout and the dragon riders crash the party trying to save Hiccup. The gang completely ruins Hiccup's undercover infiltration within 3 seconds. Roughnut catches one look at Eret and instantly falls head over heels in love with him. Hiccup tries to stop a total brawl before someone gets accidentally toasted. Eret starts giving a big dramatic villain speech, but Stoic swoops in like an absolute tank. Stoic easily disarms the entire ship and catches Hiccup red-handed. Hiccup argues with his father, insisting he was just trying to stop a massive war. Stoic yells that Drago isn't a leader you can debate, he is a bloodthirsty killer. Stoic drops a terrifying story about his first meeting with Drago years ago. Drago walked into a high-level chief council draped in actual dragon skin. He promised to protect the chiefs from dragons, but only if everyone bowed to his command. The chiefs laughed in his face, but Drago gave them a chilling, deadly response. Drago summoned armored dragons to torch the entire hall, burning every leader alive. Stoic was the lone survivor of that mass slaughter, proving Drago is an absolute monster. He warns Hiccup that men who kill without reason cannot be talked out of violence. Despite the horrifying warning, Hiccup refuses to give up and goes totally rogue. Stoic orders Astrid and the gang back to Burke while he goes after his runaway son. Stoic is officially exhausted by Hiccup's endless rebellious streak. Hiccup takes off into the foggy skies with Toothless, fully committed to finding Drago. Suddenly, a terrifying masked figure swoops out of the clouds and yanks Hiccup right off Toothless. Hiccup panics because Toothless cannot fly without a rider and plunges into the freezing ocean. Hiccup screams at the mysterious figure to turn around and save his best friend. The armored stranger ignores his demands and stares at Hiccup with intense, creepy energy. In a secret sanctuary cavern, wild dragons pull Toothless out of the water, reuniting him with Hiccup. The mysterious masked rider approaches Hiccup and inspects his chin scar in total disbelief. The rider takes off her mask, revealing she is Hiccup's thought-to-be-dead mother, Valka. Meanwhile, Gobber reminds Stoic that Hiccup got his stubborn reckless nature from his mom. Stoic is desperately tracking Hiccup through the fog, terrified Drago will catch him first. Gobber reassures Stoic that Toothless would die before letting anything happen to Hiccup. Stoic unleashes his tracking dragon, Skullcrusher, to sniff out Hiccup's location. Back in the cave, Hiccup's brain is totally melting because his mom was supposed to be dead. He demands to know how she survived 20 years after everyone thought a dragon ate her. Hiccup looks around and realizes his mother has spent 2 decades running a secret vigilante dragon rescue. He jokes about finding out his long-lost mom is basically a wild dragon warrior goddess. Valka examines Toothless in total awe, suspecting he might be the very last Night Fury. She points out that Toothless is actually the exact same age as Hiccup. Hiccup tells her the iconic story of shooting down Toothless in the woods back in Burke. Valka introduces Hiccup to dragons that were brutally maimed by Drago's iron traps. She shows him dragons with sliced wings and missing limbs from Drago's cruel trappers. Every single beast in this sanctuary is a survivor of Drago's horrifying war crimes. Valka notices Toothless' missing tail fin and asks if Drago's men caused that injury. Hiccup awkwardly admits that he was actually the one who shot Toothless down years ago. Valka smiles when she sees Hiccup's prosthetic leg, realizing dragon and rider are completely mirrored. Hiccup explains how Stoic hated dragons at first, but eventually changed his whole mindset. Valka drops a pessimistic bomb, insisting normal humans are incapable of change. She recalls how old Berk was a violent nightmare where Vikings only wanted dragon blood. She flashes back to the night Cloudjumper broke into their house 20 years ago. Instead of killing baby Hiccup, the dragon stared at him with pure gentleness and soul. When Stoic rushed in with an axe, Cloudjumper snatched Valka away to save her life. Cloudjumper brought Valka straight to the colossal sanctuary of the Alpha Dragon. She unveils the gigantic Bewilderbeast, the god-level Alpha Dragon ruling over the entire sanctuary. This massive titan uses icy breath to construct a safe haven for thousands of rescued dragons. Valka boasts about spending 2 whole decades living in secrecy while low-key decoding dragon secrets. Before Hiccup can fully process that revelation, she drops the bombshell that it is officially feeding time in the sanctuary. Meanwhile, back near the coastline, Astrid and the gang are spiraling because Hiccup is still totally missing. Snotlout and Fishlegs are still aggressively simping over Roughnut while she literally only has eyes for Eret. Fearing that Hiccup got taken down, Astrid decides they need to step up and handle business themselves. They execute a chaotic surprise kidnapping to force Eret to lead them straight to Drago's secret stronghold. Astrid hits him with an absolute ultimatum to guide them right into the enemy dragon camp. Eret quickly realizes these dragon riders are completely unhinged and agrees to navigate. Cut back to Valka taking Hiccup on a breathtaking tour high above the clouds of the hidden archipelago. She drops an absolute main character speech about what it truly means to fly like a real dragon. Valka gets suddenly hit with massive motherly guilt for missing out on Hiccup's entire life. She emotionally begs her son for a second chance to teach him everything she's learned over 20 years. She reveals a hidden split-wing trick on Toothless that completely changes his aerial mobility forever. Hiccup is mind-blown as Valka proves that even Night Furies have locked features he never knew about. Valka pledges that they will unlock every mystery of the Dragon Kingdom as an unstoppable mother-son duo. She believes their shared gift is meant to build a safe utopia for every dragon on the planet. Hiccup instantly gets optimistic and thinks they can just negotiate peace with Drago using this new energy. Valka immediately shuts that idea down because Drago is a ruthless warlord who cannot be reasoned with. Meanwhile, Astrid and the crew land near Drago's fleet while Eret learns dragon rules the hard way. Fishleg starts nerding out over massive water bubbles signaling a terrifying high-tier leviathan below. Out of nowhere, Drago's terrifying army ambushes the gang and pins them to the floor. Eret tries to play it cool and deliver his fresh haul of caught dragons to his terrifying boss. But Drago cold-heartedly claims the beasts without giving Eret an ounce of respect or payment. Eret tries to sweeten the deal by flexing that he captured Berk's elite dragon riders too. Astrid refuses to back down and tries to intimidate the villain with pure confidence. Eret tries to reassure Drago that the rest of Berk will never locate their hidden base. Astrid accidentally drops major lore, revealing Hiccup is the legendary heir to Berk's chieftain throne. Drago takes that personal threat as a direct insult to his absolute authority over all dragonkind. Astrid doubles down on her trash talk, claiming Hiccup will turn Drago's armada into floating kindling. Roughnut tries to back her up with some incredibly weird banter that gets on Drago's nerves. Hearing that an entire island of trained dragon masters exists sets off alarm bells inside Drago's head. Drago instantly shifts his strategy, ordering an immediate full-scale invasion of the dragon nest. He realizes taking out the Supreme Alpha Dragon is his ticket to ultimate world domination. Back inside the sanctuary, Hiccup knows he cannot wait around like a sitting duck for Drago's assault. Suddenly, Stoic breaks into the ice fortress, determined to rescue his son from a perceived threat. Hiccup frantically tries to warn his dad that he is walking into an insane family plot twist. Hiccup scrambles to explain that this isn't just another one of his typical chaotic mess-ups. Stoic draws his massive weapon, completely unaware that his long-lost wife is standing in the room. Valka nervously steps out from the shadows, braced for Stoic's legendary Viking rage. She tries to explain why she stayed away, believing Berk was too stubborn to ever accept peace. She admits her heart broke over leaving her young son behind, thinking she was protecting him. Sensing the overwhelming silence, Valka tells Stoic to go ahead and scream out his anger. Instead of raging, Stoic drops his weapon and delivers the most wholesome romantic line ever. Meanwhile, Astrid and the gang are locked in Drago's execution traps preparing for the absolute worst. Roughnut continues to aggressively roast Eret while they scheme a reckless breakout. Chaos erupts in Drago's base as the team starts scrapping with guards to reclaim their gear. Roughnut instantly falls back in love with Eret after he pulls off an insanely clutch combat move. Eret turns on Drago's men and guides the gang directly to where their dragons are locked up. Eret officially switches sides to repay Stormfly for saving his life from executioners earlier. Back in the Ice Sanctuary, Hiccup happily tells his mom about how Berk turned into a dragon paradise. Stoic beams with pride, crediting Hiccup with transforming their entire culture for the better. Stoic banters with Valka about her terrible cooking to break 20 years of awkward distance. Gobber chiming in with a savage joke about Valka's rock-hard meatballs keeps the vibe super wholesome. Hiccup gets hyped thinking their reunited family is completely invincible against Drago's army. Stoic gently tells his son to slow down and let his parents process this wild reunion. Stoic then begins softly humming their old wedding song to rekindle the flame of romance. He belts out the Viking love ballad with absolute passion, reminding Valka of their unbreakable bond. Stoic's soulful singing low-key melts Valka's defensive walls after 2 decades in isolation. Valka joins in on the harmony, proving that their deep connection never truly faded away. The whole gang watches in awe as the 2 legendary Viking leaders pull off a cinematic duet. They dance around a campfire in what is low-key one of the most iconic romantic scenes in animation. Gobber hilariously tries to keep playing his horn long after the emotional dance finishes. Valka laughs through tears, realizing she never thought she would hold her husband's hands again. Stoic takes her hands and asks the ultimate question about returning to Berk as his wife. He promises that they can finally rebuild their shattered family and rule Berk side by side once more. Valka agrees, prompting Stoic to jokingly offer to take over kitchen duties permanently. Stoic thanks Odin that Hiccup was too stubborn to obey orders, leading them back together. The heartwarming moment is instantly shattered when Toothless senses a terrifying threat outside. Stoic immediately snaps back into chieftain mode, reassuring Valka that they stand united. Valka warns them that Drago's massive fleet has arrived outside to destroy the sanctuary. Stoic grabs his armor without hesitation, ready to die protecting his family and their beasts. Hiccup and Stoic rally the troops to rush out to the battlefield for an all-out war. Outside, Drago's siege war machines spark to life, raining heavy iron projectiles on the fortress. Explosions rip through the dragon sanctuary as Drago's dark forces launch their catastrophic assault. The terrifying battle for the fate of all dragonkind officially begins as absolute chaos erupts. The battle erupts into absolute chaos as Drago's forces clash with the dragon riders in a high-stakes standoff. Eret literally pulls up with major main character energy, deciding he's done working for the bad guys. Astrid and the crew are pulling off insane aerial stunts to cut through Drago's armadas. Hiccup swoops into the action like a total legend, reuniting with Astrid in the middle of the war zone. Eret's mind is completely blown when he realizes the mysterious dragon whisperer is actually Hiccup's mom. Just when our heroes think they've got control, Drago brings out his absolute secret weapon. Hiccup tells Toothless to unleash his full power, but nobody is prepared for what comes next. Stoic stands tall against Drago, refusing to let this psycho enslave their fiery companions. Drago reveals his gigantic dark bewilderbeast, sending shockwaves across the entire battlefield. Valka's benevolent alpha giant steps up to fight Drago's dark alpha in a battle of colossal monsters. The 2 titanic beasts smash together in an earth-shattering brawl that leaves everyone terrified. Stoic is standing on business to protect Valka, proving his love for his family is totally unbreakable. The Dark Alpha hits Valka's king with a fatal strike, taking total control of the dragon realm. Drago emerges from the flames looking completely unhinged and ready to destroy everything. Gobber and Stoic charge straight into the fray, desperate to turn the tide of this nightmare. Drago corners Hiccup and starts heavily mocking him for thinking peace was ever an option. Drago flexes his tragic backstory to justify why he wants to conquer the world with pure fear. He reveals that his entire village was wiped out by dragons, turning his soul pitch black. Instead of choosing healing, Drago cooked up a plan to dominate every creature on Earth. Hiccup desperately tries to drop some deep wisdom, telling Drago that dragons are actually full of love. Drago completely shuts down Hiccup's talk no jutsu because he's obsessed with ultimate control. The villain refuses to listen to reason, proving he is way too far gone in his own dark trauma. Hiccup calls out Drago's fake ideology, exposing that he's just a tyrant who craves power. Drago decides he's done talking and decides to show Hiccup what true domination really looks like. Hiccup reaches out one last time to offer peace, but Drago completely snaps. Drago uses his bullwhip and brutal commands to force his Dark Alpha to hypnotize Toothless. The Dark Alpha sends out hypnotic mind control waves directly into Toothless' brain. Toothless' eyes turn into slit pupils as he completely loses control of his own body. Drago watches with a sick smile as our favorite Night Fury gets forced to turn on his best friend. Hiccup realizes Toothless can't hear his voice anymore, and absolute panic sets in. The mind-controlled Night Fury backs Hiccup up against a wall, priming a lethal plasma blast. Hiccup screams at Toothless to wake up, but the dark trance is way too powerful. The plasma core in Toothless' throat glows bright purple as he aims straight at Hiccup. Hiccup begs his dragon to fight the trance, but Toothless is completely trapped in his own head. Toothless fires the deadly shot, and everything goes into dramatic slow motion. Out of nowhere, Stoic dives right in front of the blast, sacrificing his life to save his son. The blast impacts Stoic directly, leaving the mighty Viking chief motionless on the ground. Toothless breaks out of the trance, looks at Stoic's lifeless body, and realizes the tragedy he caused. Drago jumps on Toothless' back, steals all the dragons, and sets sail to annihilate Berk. The Vikings hold a heart-wrenching funeral for Stoic, pushing flaming arrows into his wooden ship. Hiccup watches his father's ship burn on the sea, completely broken and overcome with guilt. The entire village mourns the loss of their ultimate protector and legendary chief. Hiccup feels like he ruined everything and ruined his father's dream of peace. In his lowest moment, Hiccup admits he never thought he could ever fill his dad's massive shoes. Valka steps up and reminds Hiccup that Stoic always believed in him from the very beginning. She tells him he possesses the ultimate combination, the heart of a chief and the soul of a dragon. Hiccup realizes that being a leader isn't about being fearless, but about protecting those you love. Hiccup locks eyes with his crew, and declares that they are going back to save Berk. Gobber points out that Drago literally stole every single grown dragon on the island. Hiccup gets a galaxy brain idea when he sees the baby dragons running wild and untamed. Because baby dragons never listen to authority, the Alpha's mind control doesn't work on them at all. The gang mounts up on unruly baby dragons in the most chaotic rescue squad ever assembled. Back at Berk, Drago arrives with his colossal alpha dragon and freezes the entire island in massive ice. Drago declares total victory, thinking nobody can stand against his monstrous army. Suddenly, Hiccup and the dragon riders drop in from the sky like absolute hero legends. Roughnut, Toughnut, and the gang start throwing wild distractions to keep the Dark Alpha confused. They launch Sheep straight into the Alpha's face, buying Hiccup precious seconds to reach Toothless. Hiccup flies straight up to Drago and Toothless, surprising the villain beyond belief. Hiccup lands on Toothless, gently placing his hand on his dragon's snout to reconnect. Drago commands Toothless to kill Hiccup, believing the hypnotism is unbreakable. Hiccup whispers words of absolute love and forgiveness into Toothless' ear. He reminds Toothless of their unbreakable bond, ignoring the massive danger right in front of him. Through pure emotional connection and love, Toothless' eyes dilate back to normal. Toothless breaks the hypnotism, choosing Hiccup over the Alpha's evil power. Hiccup blindfolds Toothless so the Dark Alpha can't mind control him ever again. Together, Hiccup and Toothless pull off insane evasive maneuvers to knock Drago right off his perch. They blast Drago into the ocean, but the Dark Alpha unleashes a colossal icy explosion that buries Hiccup and Toothless. Suddenly, a bright neon blue energy bursts through the ice as Toothless unlocks his ultimate alpha mode. Toothless' spine glows with pure plasma power as he stands tall to protect Hiccup at all costs. Toothless challenges the Dark Alpha, calling every single dragon on the island to rise up and fight back. Together, all the dragons bombard the Dark Alpha until its massive tusk breaks and it retreats into the deep ocean. With Drago defeated, the entire village cheers as Hiccup officially gets crowned as the new chief of Berk. Berk is standing stronger than ever, united as a powerful beacon of peace between humans and dragons. Hiccup steps into his true destiny, ready to defend his home and lead his people into an epic new era. And that wraps up one of the most insane animated climaxes in cinematic history, my guys. If Stoic's sacrifice and Toothless unlocking his final god form gave you straight up chills, smash that like button right now. Drop a comment down below letting me know which dragon from Berk you would low-key choose as your battle partner. Make sure to smash that subscribe button and ring the notification bell so you never miss our next high-octane movie recap. Thank you all for tuning in today, and I will see you legends in the very next breakdown.